afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. If you're a child, a stay in the hospital can be confusing and sometimes scary. Every day, about 60 children are admitted to the Vermont Children's Hospital at the UVM Medical Center. And every day, the doctors and staff at the Vermont Children's Hospital provide their young patients and families with the highest quality care in a child-friendly setting. U.S. News and World Report ranks some of the pediatric specialties at the Vermont Children's Hospital as being among the best in the nation. So perhaps it's not a surprise that some college students have found a unique way to raise money to help the hospital provide the best care possible. Across the Fence intern Dylan Delage tells us how Champlain College students stayed up to help out.
You may wonder what this gathering of college students is doing. They're playing video games, not just because they're fun, but for charity. This is Extra Life, a national fundraiser for children's hospitals.
Extra Life is a 24-hour charity event organization that focuses on playing video games to raise money for charity. It's part of the Children's Miracle Network Hospital organization.
In this gaming marathon, local teams choose which hospital they want to support. The team at Champlain College is raising money for the University of Vermont Children's Hospital.
The UVM Children's Hospital is the only children's hospital in the state of Vermont, and with it being right up the hill from us, it only made sense for it to be the hospital that we support. So, and with a community of gamers like we have here at Champlain, it just sort of made sense.
How does Extra Life work? People sign up to play for the team of their choice or individually. By doing this, they pledge to play video games for 24 hours straight. Friends, family, and strangers support their play by donating to the Children's Hospital. Each player has a webpage that includes their fundraising goal and indicates what team they're on. Here, people can donate in just a few clicks.
So the fundraising goal for today and for our team, Champlain College Esports, is for $7,500. We definitely believe that is doable, and we're already at $1,100, which is quite exciting. Extra Life has been happening at Champlain for about 4 years. I have been heading it up for the last 3, and so it's been growing every year, which is really exciting.
The money raised from Extra Life these last few years has benefited the University of Vermont Children's Hospital immensely.
Funds raised through all of our Children's Miracle Network programs and initiatives have supported things from life-saving equipment to special programs like Child Life Specialists, which we support 1.5 child life positions, and a child life specialist is really just there to try and normalize the environment for the pediatric patients, which can be a pretty scary place for them, but they just work to help them through their treatment process and healing process.
And more than that, it helps kids in need of medical assistance get through the healing process.
So a children's hospital is very different than any other hospital, and so it's really important to try and normalize the situation for them, and a lot of their healing process is actually through play. And so while we might see that a child life specialist or a nurse is reading a book to a patient, we just think they're just reading a book, but really they're shielding a needle that's going into their arm for an IV or shots.
Playing video games to help kids sounds like a win-win.
I really just came here just because these kind of events they're just a lot of fun for anybody who really likes games, for anybody who likes competitive gaming, casual. It's just a lot of fun.
But maybe there is too much of a good thing. Staying up for 24 hours is the challenge.
I usually don't, but you know, I've done it before. It takes its toll on you, that's for sure.
About 2/3 of the way through, these college students are really starting to feel it.
Absolutely exhausted. I only got 4 hours of sleep last night. But it's worth it. You know, it's for the kids and it's a good cause. But I am so beat.
At the end of 24 hours, these gamers may be tired, but they're some of the happiest people I've ever seen. In Burlington, I'm Dylan Deloge.
Well, thank you, Dylan, and our congratulations to the students from Champlain College who exceeded their $7,500 fundraising goal. Well, back in 2011, in the wake of Tropical Storm Irene, Vermont farmers began asking University of Vermont Extension if there was a commercial crop that would grow well in floodplains. Those inquiries led to a research project looking into the feasibility of growing elderberries. The elderberry is known as a versatile plant that can tolerate tough growing conditions. And when the fruit is processed, elderberries contain important antioxidants. Here's Across the Fence's Keith Silva with our story.
You may have heard of elderberries being used in jams, jellies, or wine. If you were raised on 70s British comedy, you'll recall the word elderberries being used as a taunt in a Monty Python movie.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries.
Elderberries are a little bit smaller than a pea. They grow on bushes and are harvested by cutting them off in bunches like grapes.
They're a native plant, so they're really well adapted to this climate.
At the farm between in Cambridge, John Hayden thinks an elderberry bush is the perfect plant for Vermonters to have at home.
What we like about them is they'll grow well in marginal soils, so some of the heavier soils where other fruit won't thrive. So they have a nice little niche there. So that's we're using them to plug into areas where we couldn't really grow other fruit. There's a lot of talk about them. People are joking it's like the next big thing.
Go east on Route 15 and you'll find Elmore Roots, where owner David Freed loves elderberries so much he's written a rap.
It's our elder, our ancestor, our wise old shrub, keeps us on our feet, brings us home from the pub.
When he's not rapping about elderberries, Freed encourages customers to grow their own.
They're not very fussy. The best thing is you start with a good-sized plant with a good root system, plant it, not very deep, and keep putting compost and other rich earth from your garden around the base. Then they grow by themselves. We don't do very much, we just let them grow.
Freed and Hayden's interest in elderberry isn't new. People have been cultivating elderberries to use as medicine for centuries. It's said elderberry syrup was the go-to elixir for old-time Vermonters who wanted to ward off winter colds and flus. At Rail Yard Apothecary and Yoga Studio in Burlington, herbalist Guido Mazet prescribes elderberry as a way to fight the common cold.
As a clinical practitioner in herbal medicine, I've recommended elderberry countless times, and you have a couple of outcomes. Either the person just does not get sick when they're taking elderberry consistently, and I usually recommend it for folks who complain of getting sick, 3-4 times every winter. They start taking elderberry consistently, and they find that that goes down substantially, and sometimes they don't get sick at all. So there's that.
The medicinal properties of elderberries and its hardiness in Vermont's climate got researchers at University of Vermont to wonder if it was possible to grow elderberries on a commercial scale. Ginger, where are we?
We are in the Intervale farm. And
Ginger Nickerson works for University of Vermont Extension's Center for Sustainable Agriculture. This project was funded by the Working Lands Enterprise Initiative.
We created these 3 different scenarios, a 40-bush planting, a 1-acre planting, and a 5-acre planting, and looked at what the markets and prices would be for all of those different scales. And then we also created an elderberry decision tool, which is an online spreadsheet where you can go and you can plug in all of your own numbers for the enterprise that you want to create and see whether that would be profitable for you.
The market for elderberry products is still developing, and so commercial production is still a ways away. To increase the popularity of the fruit and get ahead of the curve, Nickerson suggests starting small.
To start a commercial elderberry business, there's going to be a lot of upfront capital investment. And because that's not going to be for everybody, but the plant is still really great, we're recommending that people who are interested in it, but who might not want to make those big capital investments, they should still grow it, just growing it at a smaller scale.
What's not to love about a plant that's purple and green, royal colors, and that gets rid of the virus in the common cold?
Todd Hardy owns Thornhill Farm in Greensboro. His farming experience includes making honey. He learned about elderberries from longtime Vermonters and his friends, Lewis and Nancy Hill.
Lewis was a very kind man. He told me about the elderberries for 14 years, and I didn't hear him until I started seeing elderberry products come in from Europe, made with white sugar. And I realized that we could do something made in Vermont with raw honey. And that changed our work with Honey Gardens apiaries.
The Hills developed 2 varieties, or cultivars, of elderberries, which are unique to Vermont, Kumar and Berry Hill. For Hardy, growing elderberries is a tribute to his friends.
Lewis and Nancy Hill are gentle giants of Vermont horticulture. Their books are in most every library. They wrote about daylilies, elderberries, black currants, flowering plants, and they were dedicated to Vermont, to Greensboro, and to horticulture. And Lewis knew how important the elderberries were, and he kept telling me about them. And it was a great way to diversify from being commercial beekeepers. And by mixing elderberries with the raw honey, the gift that Lewis gave us, we were able to stabilize our farm and make a really wonderful plant medicine.
Elderberries are well suited for value-added products. At the farm between, John Hayden makes an elderberry, ginger, and honey syrup. The syrups retail for $15 for a 12-ounce bottle.
It's a beautiful plant. So first of all, if you're just in it for the aesthetics, it's beautiful to look at when it's in flower. You get these beautiful white panicles of flowers that fill the bush. It smells great. It's very diverse in terms of you can use the flowers to make fritters or make syrups or cordials, flavor jellies, put in your hard cider. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff with the flowers.
It takes 3 to 5 years for an elderberry bush to bear fruit. 5 pounds of berries makes about 2.5 quarts of juice. As for care, Hayden's advice is keep it simple.
They do well with the what we call the stun method, which is sheer, total, utter neglect. So you can, if you have a black thumb, you should be able to put these in the ground and make sure they get watered in the first few weeks, and they're going to take off from there. It's a little weed management around the base so they're not competing with grasses and stuff when they're young. They're gonna thrive. They're native to this place, so they know how to grow here.
Freed finds the elderberry to be stunning as well, and the perfect complement for a diverse landscape.
The most important thing is you plant a couple of varieties, 2 or 3 cultivars, and you don't baby them too much. Sometimes we just take them out of the pot, set them on the ground, put a stake in them so you can tell that they're there, let them grow on top of the ground. The bigger the plant you plant, the faster you're going to have elderberries. You want to give them a little space between them because they get big. See how big this bush is? So this bush has been here for a long time, and it's growing underneath apple trees, and it's not a problem. It likes to have friends around. Multi-purpose, usefulness, a very useful plant.
As an herbalist, Mazet has heard all the skepticism about folk remedies and natural medicines. For him, growing a stand of elderberries is like putting a medicine cabinet in your backyard.
People have looked at these botanicals, and particularly elderberry has a lot of good research behind it, and have consistently seen not only that it helps in people when they're feeling sick, but that there's reasons why. When you look at what the pharmacology is, the immune system's action is bumped up, innate immunity is more active, and you also see a reduction in the ability of viruses to replicate. So there's a clinical evidence and a pharmacological evidence basis for these plants. And honestly, it doesn't mean that you can't take some aspirin when your fever hurts. Take both together, and what you'll find is that your modern technological medicine will help in the moment to reduce symptoms, but that herbal medicine will really help make you stronger, more well, and more vibrant in the long run.
It's no joke. In sickness and in health, elderberries have had a lasting influence on people's well-being. When it comes to this kind of advice, it's always good to listen to your elders. In Burlington, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you for joining us. That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.